What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this clean to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 347th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today we're going to catch up with Kevin Smith, head coach of the Perry Panthers. They won the first ever state title this year. We'll catch up with Coach Smith about the offseason, what they've got going on for 2024. We'll also talk some baseball and other spring sports, but without further ado, let's bring on Coach Smith. Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Hey, good morning.
Yep. Good morning, Coach. Thank you so much for coming on. So we obviously talked right before the state championship. You've had some time to reflect. So, I mean, how big was that? And just being in the hallway with the guys after the win, the ring ceremony, how has it really just changed the overall energy at Perry?
Man, I tell you, it's still sinking in. It's been a big, huge win for our football team and our community. Our guys have bounced back and, came back in January and started working really hard in the weight room. You can tell sense of self-confidence or team confidence, and that's just been really, really good.
Absolutely. And you mentioned when you first got to Perry, I think this is year 7, the main emphasis was building up the culture. You're pretty much Mr. Middle Georgia football. You've been all over the place. But Perry is a team that they have had to battle those teams, but they have not been able to get it done like that. So what does it mean just to have the culture pay off in a big way that it did?
Man, I tell you, I really think, we've had good players since been there. And, I don't know that this was our most talented team. We've had some more talented teams last couple of years than this past year. But I think the biggest difference was the buy-in of our culture, the culture, putting team first, playing for our teammates. It's been huge. It's spread throughout our team and throughout our locker room, and I think that was a big part, being able to overcome a lot of the adversity that we had this year. We lost 2 really big ball games, one to our crosstown rival, and the region championship game. And I think we really learned a lot from that. And I think our culture of playing the next play and controlling the things that we control had a huge impact on that.
Absolutely. And the way I describe the significance of the win, you think about I-75 and just millions of cars pass through every single year. They all see Perry. And obviously, if you drive up 75, you see Lowndes, Valdosta. But it's like, you guys are the reigning state champs now. They can never take that away. What have you guys done to celebrate this win and just add to that trophy case?
Yeah, we had we had a celebration with one of our local communities, Liberty Communities, had a big thing for us. One of the churches, a couple of the churches have done something for us. We have a community. I mean, our ring ceremony is coming up. April the 28th. It's going to be a big day for us. being the first ever football state championship ceremony. We've invited, a lot of our dignitaries from around our community to come celebrate with us that day. And, we had our award ceremony, and we recognized the guys, and they received their patches to go on their jackets for the accomplishment for this past year. And, it's just been a tremendous amount of support and recognition for all of our players and for our accomplishments.
Yeah, and this school year has been really special for you guys. I know you were talking about some of the facility upgrades you guys brought in this year, and then, I'm just looking at your baseball team right now. They are absolutely crushing it. So, in terms of this school year at Perry, how big of a step has this been?
Man, it's been huge. Our literary team, and a lot of people, it's a GHSA event too, and they won the state championship last week for the first time in school history. And our soccer team, our girls soccer team, clinched their fourth consecutive region championship last night. Our baseball team is they're flying high. You know, and we just it's just a one other thing I forgot too. Our Raiders, our ROTC won the national championship in their competition, and our theater team won. It's just a lot of good things. We had FCCLA. We had 20 participants in that win to go to nationals, won the state competition. So there's a lot of good things going on, Perry, and I think football being forward in the fall, it sort of sets the tempo for the school year. And our softball team made it to the Elite Eight. Just a lot of good things, a lot of good energy, and I think it just spreads throughout our school, and we're just very proud of that. And I think it drives the culture, drives out our school, and we're just very proud for that.
Yep, and for people that watched the state championship game, obviously it was televised, so some people that didn't get to go to the games, they probably saw a lot of things that you've seen throughout the season with these kids, and the unselfishness, the big playability, the way they play together. But how would you judge that overall performance in the finals? Just what you've seen from that group all season long, but also just how they handled that first ever trip to the finals.
Man, I tell you, I thought they handled it really well. That's the first time that we had played in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I told our guys, leading up to that, the football field's still 100 yards long. It's still got hash marks on it. We're going to have to make sure that we keep the game inside the field. And, we were able to do that. There was a lot of distractions outside of that, but, our culture of playing the next play, don't get too high on the previous play, don't get too low on the previous play, just continue to play the next play. And, also a part of our culture too, and I think it helped drive in the state championship game was, being good sports. We always have a lot of respect for our opponents. And, Stockbridge was a really good football team. Anytime you get to the state championship game, it's hard to get there and it's hard to win it. And I thought our guys did an outstanding job throughout the game of exhibiting, playing really hard. There wasn't a lot of jawing or a lot of extracurricular, um, things going on between players, between plays. And I think that culture of just to being a good competitive and, it was just huge. And our guys, they handled that moment. And, it was going to come down to whoever could handle that moment the best. And, I think our guys and, sticking together and the culture of controlling the things that we can control and keeping the focus inside the white lines was a huge part of our success that night.
And then obviously the game right before you guys was the Class 2A game, a heck of a football game, one of the best I've ever seen. Obviously went into multiple overtime. So what did you guys do just to kind of pass time, I guess, waiting for the kickoff to finally happen? I also think it's fitting because you guys and Stockbridge both waited, I guess, 130 combined years to get to your first ever state finals, so I guess the extra time wasn't too much.
No, and that was the thing too, going up there. You never know, and that was a huge game going on before us. The officials the GHSA officials kept coming back there and checking with us. Making sure we're good and all, and I prepped our kids up all week going in. Guys, we can't control the things that's going to happen before we get on that football field. There's going to be a lot of things out of our control, and we just got to overcome it and keep our focus on the field. And I thought our locker room time was in there where our guys were focused. They had TVs in our locker room so we could sort of keep up with the game that was going on ahead of us. And I think our guys handled it really well. I think they tried to soak in every minute being in that Mercedes-Benz Dome and being in that kind of environment and that kind of game.
For sure. And then, yeah, I mean, the way you guys won throughout the season, it was such a team effort, just really top to bottom. And then just rewatching the game a couple times, defensively, Stockbridge was so explosive. You know that any play they can break a tackle and go all the way. I thought the focus you guys played with defensively, but also just the physicality really was top notch.
Yeah, I was really proud of our defense. The week before, the previous weeks, they were Stockbridge was able to run the ball, and with that big running back going to North Carolina State, I mean, he was the real deal. And I thought our guys did a good job of playing their responsibility. And we try to build a wall. We try to make sure that if anybody runs on us, they have to run toward the sideline. And I thought we did a good job of filling those vertical running lanes. And then, the quarterback was as good as advertised. He was really quick, really fast. I think earlier in the game, you can't anticipate that speed in practice. So a couple times he was able to break contain on us, but I thought we adjusted to that well. Our defensive line, I mean, they were very solid. The game, in my opinion, is going to be won or lost in the trenches. And I thought our defensive line played extremely well and helping fill in those vertical running lanes and making them have to throw it more than they wanted to. But the defense was definitely, one of the big keys in that victory.
For sure. And yeah, Stockbridge, they're going to pick up yards, they're going to score points, but I felt like you guys were able to force them off their game plan a little bit. Corey Tompkins, their quarterback, as you mentioned in that first half, he was able to pick up a lot of improvised runs with his legs. They scored on a 15-play drive that first time. You guys had shut down the run game up the middle. You guys shut down the pass game, but basically they had to improvise to be able to get the ball moving. But then your offense, the way you guys responded, Coulter starting the game 6 of 6. What did you see from him? I know he's only there for a year, but just coming out in that state championship game.
Man, I tell you what, he was huge, and him coming off an injury about 3 weeks prior, he was out for 4 or 5 weeks with a broken thumb. And for him to get back to the point where he was in the state championship game was huge. We knew going into that game, Stockbridge had huge size on defense, very athletic, very fast. Knew it was going to be a struggle to try to run it on them early, and we knew we had to throw the ball. And Coulter came out and he was on fire. And our receivers were catching it. He was putting it out there. We was able to take the lead into the halftime and wear them down a little bit. And then we came out in the second half. Once we got to a 2-score lead on them, we were able to run the ball. And that's when our running back, I think we ran the ball 3 times the whole first half. And, our running back was the leading scorer, leading rusher in school history, leading touchdown in school history. And he ended up with 3 touchdowns. And we were able to manage the clock and keep that clock rolling the second half once we got that lead. So I think Coulter, being able to throw it and our receivers being able to make plays and then, being able to get the game in possession game and then controlling the clock. I think that was very huge part of our success.
Yeah, and one of the first big plays, I think it was Kari Anderson, maybe even the first snap of the game, his acrobatics on the sideline, racing up the field. How big was that? Just responding to their long opening drive with that explosive play, just to get that energy going, which is something your team does such a good job at thriving off of.
Yeah, I thought that was huge. Our big thing on defense is try to go out and get a stop. And, Stockbridge kept making plays and scored. And then, well, here we go. And we threw it out there to Dakar that first play. And, it should have been tackled for maybe a 7-yard gain. He breaks that tackle and gets down to the 1-yard line. I knew right then that some good things were going to happen for us tonight because, that was just an extra effort play to extend that play past that 7-yard after that first hit by Stockbridge. And, it sort of fell into line after that.
Yeah, I mean, the level of difficulty on that play, he sort of bobbles it. Coulter threw it in so fast. He's about to get kicked. He jumps over that tackle, lands in bounds, and then nearly scores. I mean, he might have on that play.
Yeah.
That was just such a tone setter. But I thought other guys in your receiving core, Corey Pettigrew, he's going to be back this next coming year. What did you see from him throughout the season with just how reliable he was for you guys?
Oh man, Corey was huge. He made some huge plays throughout the playoffs that helped us get games into control and come back and go ahead of people. And I thought, early in the game he had dropped a couple passes that he doesn't normally drop. I think we're all a little shell shocked, but he turned it on, and those catches he made were huge. If we don't make those catches, that game could be a different outcome. And and then this was earlier in the game, but I forgot to mention him. But that first drive or so, Kobe Dixon, he caught a couple of huge passes to get us out in the field position, a little better field position. But our receiving core with Corey Pettigrew, him coming back, he's bringing a lot of experience back to our team. And he's bringing a lot of leadership in that receiving group that's hopefully going to be able to push this group to be a good group as well for this upcoming season.
Absolutely. And then talk a little bit about your secondary, because I thought they handled that game extremely well. They aren't the biggest guys, but, man, they're long, and they really flew around out there. So just talk about their communication and just how much work they put in to be prepared for that matchup.
Man, I tell you, our secondary had grew. I knew going into the season we had to replace 10 starters on defense and 3 of them back in the secondary. And, Buddy, they competed hard. Tavares Simmons, one of our corners, made not just a couple, but a lot of plays in the secondary to allow us to win that game, and not only win that game, to get to that game. And then Maurice Hayes, he was a converted wide receiver to corner, and it took him, he had a little injury to battle through, but he finally settled in and started playing well for us. He was one of the better cover guys that knocked a lot of passes down, a long corner that deflected, could cover people. He was a huge impact. And then Trajan Day and Devon Smoot, our two safeties that, made a ton of plays. And we're very fortunate that Devon's back, but, we graduate the other 3. So we've got to get those guys replaced next year. Elijah Joseph, well, he was the other safety I meant to talk about. He made a bunch of plays in the game as well, and he's a junior, so he is back. So we got 2 of the 4 of those guys back. But Devon and Elijah are very physical. We're able to come up and help us on the run to help contain that the running back. And then, obviously Tavares and Maurice Hayes did an outstanding job of making plays and to keep us get our defense off the field.
Absolutely, and yeah, Tavares, and then I think some of the hits that Hayes had in that game were, I think one of them got flagged, but man, that was exciting because you could feel it the first quarter. You guys traded punches, and then that game got really physical, and you guys certainly were not backing down to Stockbridge. But talk a little bit about the senior class. I know you had signing days. Some of these guys getting opportunities to go to the next level. So obviously, winning the state title is very exciting, but how are you guys able to send off this special 2024 class?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dakari Anderson. He is a early enrollee at the University of Cincinnati. He's up there now doing well. Um, we had Kobe Dixon, our tight end, is going to West Georgia. Our other tight end is going to be uh, going to Georgia State as a preferred walk-on. That is going to be a huge part. I think he's got a lot of potential, and he landed up there. And then we had. We got Trajan Day, who is probably going to sign. He's still trying to. He's got a couple of Division II FCS offers that he's trying to narrow down to see where he's going to go. And Maurice Hayes, that was the one that left my mind for there for a second, but he signed with Ball State, and he'll be traveling up there this summer to go play up there and play for Ball State. Not Ball State. I'm sorry, Bowling Green. I'm sorry. We've had so many coaches emailing and calling me lately, but Bowling Green, not Ball State. Bowling Green is where Maurice Hayes is going, and just a lot of guys that's got a chance to go and play this game further. And not quite as many guys as we've had in the past, but those guys that are leaving and going were definitely a huge impact on our football team this past year.
For sure. And then let's talk about your schedule this upcoming season. It's not going to be the biggest region. You guys have had some epic battles for just playoff positioning in recent seasons, but this is going to be a really new look region. So, what are your first impressions of it?
Man, I tell you, it's a really tough, region going into for the six teams in the region have won or play for a state championship, or I should say, just won one in the past 2 to 3 years. You got Benedictine, you got us. You have Ware County, and you have Warner Robins, and then you got New Hampstead, who's up and rising new program with Coach Hockman, a longtime coach at McKeitron. He has those guys playing well, and then Wayne County. Wayne County is the team that knocked us out last year in the second round. So, there's no guarantees. There's going to be two really good football teams that don't make the playoffs this year. And it's a really tough region, which I like because I think it prepares us for the postseason. And but it's not going to be any give me games. They're all going to be contested games, and it's going to be to get into playoffs is going to be to be one of the top four teams is going to be a big challenge for all of us.
Yeah, and obviously there's no weak link in those teams. Benedictine, New Hampshire, Perry, Ware County, Warner Robins, Wayne. Do you feel like this year's region, is this more travel for you guys than in previous years, or generally about the same?
Yeah, region-wise, yeah, but it's not going to affect us, I think, quite as much as it's going to affect the other sports. We got to go to Benedictine and to Wayne County, and then we have the other games at home. So it is a lot further travel. We got 3 hours to Benedictine, a couple hours to Wayne County. And us just coming off the playoff run, we had 4 long playoff road games. And so we know how to travel. We know how to, get out of school and have to travel right on the bus for 2 or 3 hours. And hopefully that's going to play to our advantage going into this region.
Absolutely. And then real quick, just who are you guys going to be playing in the non-region before that region schedule kicks off?
Yeah, I make our non-region schedule tough to prepare us for our region. So we're going to open up with Baldwin. We're going to play in the at Fort Valley State. I think they moved Macon Touch Club is not going to be at Mercer this year. They have moved it to Fort Valley State. So we're going to open up with Baldwin in that kickoff classic at Fort Valley State. And then we have Peach County, Houston County, East Coweta, and veterans is our non-region schedule, and those are really good opponents and really good crosstown rivals. It's going to be very challenging non-region schedule to get us ready for our region schedule.
Yep. And I know Benedictine has put Ware County on its schedule the last few years, but are these first-time opponents for you most off, or have you played? Obviously, you're familiar with Warner Robins, but at Perry, have you played them?
No, we hadn't played. I was going back. It's funny you asked me that question. I went back on our history page, and the last time Perry played Warner Robins was in 1965. And so now we've done some off-season OTAs with Warner Robins since I've been there, but we have not scrimmaged or played any kind of competition in football. So that's going to be a new challenge for us, a new rival. I think with us scrimmaging Northside, we play everybody in the county. I think that might be the first time there. Obviously going to Benedictine is going to be a first time. Obviously we played Wayne that a couple of years ago or last year, but going down there, we've never been there. I've never played New Hampstead. Ware County is, I know in my tenure we hadn't been there. So, and then one of our non-regions games, East Coweta. So we've got quite some new venues to go to, and and we're looking forward to traveling to some new places and competing against some different people.
Absolutely. And yep, that is, in terms of regions, you guys definitely have a brand new look. Not many changed as significantly as yours did. Last question before you go. Offensively, you guys put up so many points this last season. I feel like you guys have had great running offenses. You've had great passing offenses. Last year is a really good blend. So what's the quarterback battle looking at just heading into spring ball?
Oh yeah, good thing is we got a lot more people back. We got those receivers back, and our running backs are back. Quarterback situation, Cullen McDaniel, who came in when Coulter was hurt, he was a top quarterback going into spring practice. Coulter's little brother, Reed Ginn, was sophomore last year, going to be a junior. He'll be competing for that job. He's up and coming quarterback. Throws the ball well. And then we got a freshman quarterback in Marty Cobb, who's about 6'2", 195-pound, very athletic kid that'll be pushing. I think our quarterback room is going to be very competitive. And I think that right now Cullen going into spring practice has got more experience, and it's a good problem to have, and we look forward to seeing how that competition turns out during the spring and throughout the summer.
Awesome. Well, I cannot wait, Coach. What date is your ring ceremony that you said is coming up?
Our ring ceremony is going to be April the 28th. And we're going to live stream our ring ceremony on our Huddle TV platform. It'll be, you can go to our webpage, www.perrypantherfootball.com, and it'll be a link there that you could click on and watch our ceremony live. We're going to do a dinner. We're going to cater our football players and cheerleaders. Then we're going to move over to our theater, and we're going to have a ring ceremony that our booster club and our Coach Wiley one of our assistant coaches is put together almost like a production. It's going to be unique, and we're really trying to take advantage of winning this thing for the first time, and it's going to be a very very special day for our Perry Panther Nation.
Fantastic. Well, we will mark it down April 28th. Coach Smith, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Best of luck this offseason, and we can't wait to see you guys next year.
Man, we really really appreciate it, and we really appreciate what you do to cover high school athletics. It doesn't go unnoticed, and we look forward to watching and keeping up with your productions. And let us know if you need anything.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Really appreciate it. All right. So there goes Coach Smith and the Perry Panthers. They are going to have a lot of talent returning. We'll get to it on the other side, though. First, let's thank our sponsors.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. And so he's mentioning some of the guys that had signed, a lot of guys from the secondary, obviously receiver going to Cincinnati, but then Coulter Ginn. He got the preferred walk-on at UGA, which was a very big deal. Heading into the state championship game, I think that's right about when it happened. But he was considered, I think, the highest rated, no-star quarterback in the state. But it was because it was his first year at Perry. He was at Peach County. If you followed Middle Georgia football at all or the Peach County program, there were so many quarterbacks moving around, whether it's to Jones County with Judd Anderson. And so Coulter came to Perry year one. He ended up breaking his thumb. That was late in the season. He was following through on a pass, hit someone's helmet, and they ended up, I think, falling in their last game of the regular season. That's why they got the number 2 seed, had to go on the road for the whole playoffs, but then he came back. They had that last-second win over Stars Mill, his heroic, and then in the state championship, came out, played very well, started 6 of 6. As I mentioned, they didn't really run the ball in the first half. They were trying to get the passing game going. There were a couple, I think there was a stretch where he was 2 of 8 after that, but on those plays, Pettigrew dropped one that hit him right in the chest. He overthrew a couple, but, Stockbridge, they had, I think, 80 sacks last season, so he was taking his hits, but he played a really good game. And when you're a guy that goes to a program that has never won a state title, despite having all that talent in 70 seasons, you go there 1 year and you lead them to the state championship. I think that's why UJ was ecstatic to offer him that preferred walk-on. And obviously Stetson Bennett eventually became the starter. So we'll see what happens with Coulter, but he's a great addition to that quarterback room, and obviously winning that state title and going to Perry was a great decision for him, and his younger brother is now going to be a junior, I believe. So let's look at the rest of their roster, who they will have returning. Colin McDaniel, he's the quarterback that Coach Smith said is going to lead the QB room head into spring. He was the guy that filled in for Coulter last year. Wasn't easy to do. That was make or break time in region play. He played well, went 71 of 101 passing, that's 70%, and had 4 touchdowns. In the rushing game, Ahmad Gordon, he closed out the game for Perry in the second half. He's a very dominant runner, had 1,800 yards last year, and then 3 touchdowns in the state championship game and 34 overall. So heading into that matchup with Stockbridge and Perry, those 2 running backs had the most combined touchdowns as any 2 workhorse backs you'd see last year squaring off. Jaden Duke Scott had 38 heading into the state championship, and then Gordon had 32. Duke Scott was a senior. He's now at NC State. Ahmad Gordon will be back and will be one of the top running backs in Class 4A. In terms of the wide receiver room, Corey Pettigrew is definitely capable of being that top guy. Dekai Anderson led them last year with his 1,263 yards. He had that incredible play to get them sparked in the state championship. Had some other heroic catches in the Stars Mill game. But then Pettigrew, he's very reliable. Had 702 total yards last year and a team-high 6 touchdowns. So that production will likely go up, and he will have a new quarterback throwing to him. And then defensively, they're going to have to replace a lot in the secondary, but they replaced 10 starters last year and won a state title. So they've been training their guys. They aren't the biggest team, but it reminded me of that Michigan win in the national championship game where they just had a speedy secondary that was always in the right spot. They didn't give up the big play. They aren't going to win the size matchup, but they know their assignments. They play well together, and they just make it very difficult to get in a rhythm, and that's just what Perry does best. They're not afraid to get physical. They play extremely fast, and Stockbridge is a team that has the reputation of being the fastest team in the state, but they were able to match them in that capacity as well. So I think Perry has a very good chance this upcoming season. Coach Smith has been at other destinations. He was an assistant for 23 years before he took the Perry job. He was at Northside Warner Robins with Conrad Nix. That's a famous name, obviously, and then he won state titles there. So that's why I referred to him as Mr. Middle Georgia, because he's been at Houston County. He was at Houston County after Northside. He's been at Northside, and now he's at Perry. Perry was always considered, because it's a smaller classification, just the next tier down from those historic powerhouses like Warner Robins and Northside. But now he's proven, look who the new state champ is. It's Perry. And they have played Houston County in their season opener the last 2 years. I think they beat them 2 years ago. Last year was a 1-point loss. Both games have been decided by, I think, a single point. And when they went toe-to-toe with Houston County last year, I knew that they were going to be really good because, as he mentioned, they lost a ton. And to see Coulter Ginn go in week 1 and go head-to-head with Houston County and all their talent, I was like, all right, this guy, he's ready to go. So it's going to be very important for them with a lot of new pieces to get prepared for this region, because that top to bottom, there's not another region like that where there is not a single weak link. And not even a weak link. There's not a team that isn't going to be top 10 material in that region. So truly, if you want to argue about who is the toughest region in the state next season, I don't know how you can get much tougher than that. Benedictine, New Hampstead, which definitely is up on the rise. Perry, Ware County, Warner Robins, and Wayne County. So that's 6 teams for those 4 spots. They're going to play, as you mentioned, Baldwin at Fort Valley State in a kickoff classic, then Peach County, Houston County, East Coweta, and then Veterans. So great schedule right there. We're obviously going to see Houston County in our season opener at the Corky Kill Dave Hunter Classic against Alpharetta. And so that will be 2 weeks later. So that will be a big opportunity to watch some of those early matchups. And we had Houston County, obviously, last year in that Lee County game. They're going to want to be prepared for their region. That's why they're scheduling Alpharetta. That's why they're scheduling Perry. All right, so let's move on from that real quick and look at some other headlines. All right, so in terms of some of these other sports, Coach Smith was talking about Perry, their ROTC winning a national championship. The literary team, the baseball team is on fire right now. They're currently ranked number, I think, 3 or 4 in Class 4A. I'll pull that up in a bit. But looks like another story went up on our site. It's by Matthew Stone. A deep dive into GHSA esports and Brookwood's continued success. This came out yesterday. You can go to scoreatl.com and look at it. And this is a pretty new sport. I think it's been around for probably 5 or 6 years at this point. But it's very interesting because it is a GHSA sport. It's very competitive, and I don't know, it's very exciting. And they're getting college opportunities now. You can get a scholarship. There's big support behind it, and it's not going anywhere. Games are extremely popular, and it is great to see. But apparently Brookwood has it going on with their esports, so go check that out. So let's pull up the latest Week 7 baseball rankings. All right, so in Class 7A, talked on Wednesday about how Brookwood lost to Newton, which was a very surprising result. Newton had never not gotten mercy ruled by Parkview. Well, Parkview turned around. They won 16-0. So they responded very well. Parkview did not drop in the poll because of that. Similar situation, Grayson has had some tough losses recently. He got swept by Parkview, swept by Brookwood. Now they're in a must-win series with South Gwinnett, and they beat them 28-0 on Wednesday. So that is a big statement for them when they're in a must-win series to come out and play that well, basically batting around 3 times in 1 inning, truly locked in. So with Grayson, they are going to have a very important next week. They've got to play a 3-game series with Archer and then a 3-game series with Newton. Playoffs on the line. Grayson has been ranked in the top 10. They obviously fell out after getting swept by the 2 top teams. But now Archer is in a battle with Brookwood right now. That series, I believe, concludes tonight. But watch out for that Grayson-Newton series. And it's also worth noting Newton has not won a series against Grayson in baseball from any time. I looked back at least 10 years and I have not seen it. So we'll see if Newton, they upset Parkview. We'll see if they can sneak into the playoffs. All right, number 2, Lowndes. They lost to a red-hot Gordon Lee team. That was a rematch of an earlier win over Gordon Lee. They did not drop because of that. Then they fell to Trinity Christian, Florida, top 12 team in the entire Sunshine State. Watch out for Buford this season. They're number 3. They've won, I believe, 12 straight. They're 16-4, and they have not had consecutive losses. They bounced back extremely well, and I think that's important when you consider the playoffs are going to be 3-game series. All right, Marietta slid down from number 8 to number 10 this week. I did not want to drop them all the way out. They're ranked much higher in some of these other polls, the Georgia Prep Baseball or Baseball Report, PBR, whatever it is. They still have them at number 5, but Marietta, they lost 2 of 3 to Harrison and then lost their opener to unranked Hillgrove 10-0. So Marietta's had big wins. They put a brutal schedule, but it's a little concerning with 3 out of 4 losses. They have a doubleheader tonight against Hillgrove. So they lost opener 10-0. I kept them in the poll, but if they don't rebound tonight against Hillgrove, they might be out and Hillgrove might come in. All right, Class 6A. Put Pope up to number 8 after North Forsyth replaced Habersham Central in the poll, and then Lassiter is up a spot to number 9. If you look at Lassiter, they've got about 8 losses this year. They have not lost any of those games by more than 2 runs. I think they have 3 extra inning losses, so I mean that's a good sign. I mean, they're playing a brutal schedule. Not everything's going to go your way, but that's something they can fix up and learn from. All right, so last night, let me pull this up because this was a huge huge showdown between number 1 Houston County and number 3 Tift County. And it looks like Tift County, yeah, they had won 14 straight games heading into that region battle, and then they will play a doubleheader today. First game is at 4:30, second game at 7 at Houston County, games 2 and 3 of the series. But last night, Houston County won 5-3. So Houston's number 1 in 6A, Tift County's number 3. The polls came out yesterday, but even with that 5-3 loss, we would not punish Tift County. But obviously want to see if they can get a game against the Bears. All right, let's see if anything else shifted. We got Marist at number 2. They currently, after Tift County's loss, snapped their 14-game win streak. Marist has the longest win streak in Class 6A. I think they're at 15 games now. So they've moved up to number 2. Etowah still at 4. BT at 5. Noonan, really good team. They're at number 6. And then we mentioned Evans, Pope, Laster, and then North Forsyth replacing Habersham Central. All right, in Class 5A, Villa Rica is at number 2 behind Cartersville. They've got a better record. I believe Villa Rica is either undefeated or only has 1 loss. But Cartersville has played a much tougher schedule. And they have a couple losses. And they are the highest ranked nationally in Class 5A. I dropped Kell all the way down to number 10. I was very high on them. Last week they had won 10 straight games. They demolished Etowah 13-3, but they had a very tough week. They fell to Blessed Trinity. I think that was 12-3, and then they lost games 1 and 2 to GAC, big region games. And so GAC, with those wins over Kell, they now have 13 straight victories, but then Kell, after losing 3 of 4, and moved them down to number 10. All right, in Class 4A, this one, outside of the top teams, it has been a real headache to try to pin down with the full poll, but still have Stars Mill at number 1. They are 13-1 overall. Every single one of those games has been against a quality opponent, and they actually moved based on strength of schedule and then a 13-1 record. Max Preps calculates them as the number 1 ranked team in Georgia right now, regardless of classification. That's how difficult their schedule is. Despite having a loss, you still got Harlem's undefeated, still have a couple undefeated teams, but a 13-1 record with their schedule, the calculations put them at number 1. And that's regardless of class. Perry moved up this week to the top 5 for the first time this season. They're on fire. And then North Oconee and East Forsyth, both Region 8 opponents, they each dropped as a result of Perry moving up to number 5. And then Wayne County also moved up from 6 to 9. So there's a lot of movement in Class 4A, but you still got Stars Mill and Cherokee Bluff at the top. And then in Class 3A, Harlem, they're undefeated. They're 20-0. You got Pickens at number 2, Calvary Day at 3. They just came off a big series win over Savannah Christian at number 5. I kept Savannah Christian at 5. A lot of other polls have them in that 9 or 8 range, but it's because I think Calvary Day is that good. Ringgold's at 4. Hebron Christian moved up to 7. Gordon Lee at 9, and then Long County at 10. All right, in Class 2A, North Cobb Christian, they've been the top team in Class 2A this season. They're going to have probably an inevitable showdown with Mount Perrin at some point in the playoffs, the 2 Cobb County private school rivals. But Worth County is a team in 2A that I think is my dark horse. They've been extremely dominant this season with a lot of impressive wins. Look at their schedule. And then you got Appling County and then Redan. Redan's only lost 1 game this season, rounding out that top 5. And then Brantley County in Class 2A, they enter the poll for the first time this season. Class A Division 1 moved Tallulah Falls up to number 4. And Whitfield Academy debuted in the rankings this week. And then in Class A Division 2, Slide County is number 1, Charlton County, number 2, Charlton County, number 3, Wilcox, and number 4, Baconton Charter are all on 15-game plus win streaks. And so is Wheeler County at number 8 and Miller County. So no teams moved in Class A, Division II, but it's because they are all on a major win streak. So that'll be an exciting playoffs once those top 10 matchups start happening. But let's take one more quick break, thank our sponsors, and we'll be back on the other side to close it out.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to georgiaconstructioncareers.com and start your future today.
Hello guys, 1 second. We got a story I'm going to pull up real quick. This is out of Norcross. I had it pulled up yesterday, but I had to close out. All right, so Kirk Barton, we've known him well. We've done a lot of work with Norcross over the years with Corky Kell, playoff matchups. Our basketball Corky Kell was at Norcross this last year. Obviously, Najee went to Norcross. I have a lot of friends from there, but their longtime athletic director, a great friend of high school sports, Kirk Barton, is retiring after 25 years at Norcross. Let's just look at some of his major accomplishments. And man, if you go to Norcross's basketball gym, this is what really epitomizes Norcross. You have 2 opposing walls, and the girls' basketball wall and the boys' basketball wall, you look at it and it is just, it's pretty much equal. You got all these NBA players, guys like Jody Meeks, then you got Diamond DeShields, all these WNBA players, top college stars. I mean, that Norcross basketball, in terms of a standout boys and girls program, that was really the first program I've ever seen at that level of dominance on both sides. And so that's something that they've done extremely well. Kirk Barton, he was the AD for that entire era. So he officially signed his retirement on Tuesday, marking the end of an era for the Norcross High School athletic program. Barton has worked at Norcross since 1999 and has been the Blue Devils athletic and activities director since 2007. He still plans to work either outside of education or possibly in a different role. I just felt like it was time, he said of his retirement after the 30-plus years in education. I've been doing it a long time. I've been at Norcross 25 years now. I just feel like it was time to make a change and do something totally different. People ask what I'm going to do right now. I don't know, but it won't include breakfast duty and lunch duty. Barton, a Cherokee County native, worked at Lithia Springs and Johnson, Gainesville, briefly before he was hired as the offensive line coach at Tucker for then head coach Keith Maloof. When Maloof was hired at Norcross in 1999, Barton came over and joined him. He was an assistant to Maloof and a track and field coach at Norcross until 2007, when he was promoted to athletic and activities director. He'd worked as gym manager, stadium manager, and athletic assistant for previous Blue Devil athletic director Mike Emery before Emery was promoted to system-wide AD for Gwinnett Public Schools. I learned a lot from Coach Emery, Barton said. I worked underneath him as both a teacher and coach and was also his gym manager and stadium manager, and I helped out with the facilities and doing things in the athletic department. Just learning how to run that department. I've worked for 4 principals at Norcross: Judy Rogers, Marianne Charon, Jonathan Patterson, and now Will Bishop, and they've been great and all supportive. During Barton's tenure at Norcross, he has been a 4-time Region Athletic Director of the Year, a 2-time Classification AD of the Year, and was awarded the overall State Athletic Director of the Year earlier this month by the Georgia Athletic Directors Association. So he is going out on top. His athletic department has remained steady with numerous head coaches who have remained at the school for long tenures, like Maloof, who's been the head coach since 1999, Jesse McMillan, a Hall of Fame head boys basketball coach, who's been there since 2008, and then Jeff Cerneka, the head volleyball coach for a decade now. The Blue Devils have won 4 boys basketball state titles, 4 girls basketball state titles, 2 football, and a golf state title, also a state championship in one-act play under his direction. I think it was the 2012 to 2013 when we had 5 people who played in the NFL, 1 NBA player, 3 WNBA players, a pro male golfer, and LPGA golfer all walking the halls as high schoolers at the same time. I've been blessed to be around of a lot of good kids, good people, and good coaches who pour into the kids. Not seeing those students and teachers daily are what Barton will miss most as he heads into retirement. It's going to be different because I've gotten up at 10 after 5, quarter after 5 every day, and I've driven to Norcross for so long, he said. The hardest part will be not seeing the coaches every day and not seeing the students every day. That's the big change, not being around the kids. That's what I love about being around them every day. I'm just extremely appreciative of them and the community. Norcross is a different type of school. We're a Title I school, an IB International Baccalaureate school, and we have all these different things going on inside. For whatever reason, we make it work because of the people here, the teachers, the coaches, and an administration that supports the teachers and coaches and allows them to do a great job. So, why is that important? Well, one, he's had a significant career, so we wanted to shout him out, but also who's going to fill that role now. So that's something to watch for. It's a big-time program. It's infamous. It's famous. The standards are extremely high for all the sports, and so still have a lot of continuity with the community and current coaches in place, but it will be interesting to see who's going to step up. Got big shoes to fill, and we wish Kirk Barton a happy retirement, and congratulations on winning statewide AD of the year. That is a great accomplishment. We'll see if he ends up getting into that Directors Hall of Fame. All right, so before we close out the show, let's go real quick. Just going to pull up, run through my top games for tonight. All right, so big baseball night, 206 games. I mentioned some of the doubleheaders. Houston County, Tift County, definitely on the top of that list, 4:30 and 6:30. You also have, let's see, a couple. Appling County and Toombs County, top 10 matchup right there. I don't have Toombs County ranked, but a lot of the polls do. They're probably at that number 12 range. Appling County's number 3. They have identical records. They're playing a doubleheader starting at 4. Lee County and Thomas County Central. Neither of those teams are ranked in Class 6A, but they are right on the edge as well. That's a doubleheader starting at 4:30. You got Richmond Hill and Camden County. That's big-time playoff implications in that one. Obviously, Lowndes is the front runner in Region 1 in Class 7A, but that'll be a big matchup. Ware County and Coffee. Ware County's had some big-time wins recently, but Coffee is still at number 4. I put Ware County at 10 this week. See if Ware County can move to the top of the region standings. Another top 10 matchup in Class 5A. You got Ola, number 5, and then Union Grove, number 7. They'll play a doubleheader. This will conclude a big series against Carrollton and Westlake tonight. Carrollton won game 1. They are also on the fringe of the top 10. You got, let's see, Irwin County, number 2 in Class A Division 2. They're going to play Pelham. In a doubleheader, you got Hillgrove and Marietta wrapping up that series. Hillgrove took game 1 10-0. Marietta lost to Harrison 2-1 in their last series, so this is a really big win, and also opportunity for Hillgrove to get into the top 10. They're both 13-6 heading into their matchup. And then LaGrange against Trinity Christian. You got Troop playing really well. Whitewater's also making a push to the playoffs, so Trinity Christian needs to steal a win against LaGrange tonight to do themselves favors in the standings. And then a big series Last one we'll talk about Harrison and North Paulding. Harrison just had the big series win over Marietta. They do not want to get swept by North Paulding. They need to find a way to take at least one. So that's it. All those scores will be up at scoreatl.com. We'll be back on Monday, updating you guys on this weekend's results. And we will see you then. Thank you to all our guests this week. Thank you to Coach Smith today. And hope everyone has a good weekend.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.